I want to thank all of you for coming and sharing. Over 60 years ago, I remember being separated from my mother at the Abyssinian Baptist Church for about 5 minutes. And I can still feel the panic that I felt as a child looking for my mother and being called in front of the congregation and said, does anybody know whose child this is? And I know that as a parent, and as any of us who are parents or grandparents, when any of our children has disappeared, run away in a park or a big place for a few minutes, what panic we feel not knowing where our children are. And so I just find it unimaginable to think of the grief and the stress and the pain that both children and families have gone through. And thank you for sharing, and we will do all that we can to stop it. There should be no government-sanctioned policy to tear children away from parents, to tear husbands away from wives, to tear wives away from husbands. This is unthinkable and un-American. I think that the word ICE is a mighty suitable acronym. But that ICE has to be replaced with compassion. I think it's un-American what we have heard here today. And I think that all of us have been deeply moved. We cannot have an official policy of child abandonment, of family destruction. And I don't think that the American people want these kinds of uncompassionate policies, and I don't think they represent the overwhelming American. So I think we should all send, Bob will quote the scripture, but I think we should send the story of the Good Samaritan to every ICE official and to the President of the United States, and quote from the prophets about the hospitality to strangers and to the poor and to children and to those who are on the margins of our society. But this is not something that our faith can tolerate or that our values as Americans can tolerate. And so it's wrong, and we should stop it. There should be no more raids of any kind that tear families apart. Second, I hope that we can have fair, comprehensive immigration reform this year. Children should not be punished because adults have not gotten their act together. They do not have any control over their parents' choices. They do not have control over the political leaders' choices, and we must get done this year fair, comprehensive policies that all of us are advocating from, so that these kinds of outrages just simply will stop. And we need to stop the hypocrisy of American policy, where on one hand we say, you're treating undocumented immigrants as if they are criminals and have not been encouraged to come here in many ways. And so this hypocrisy must end. And so I hope that we can get our president and our Congress to act so that these unthinkable things will not occur again. And third, the purgatory of fear and depression and terror that you're living under, like the purgatory that we've left our Katrina children living in after their monstrous losses. We've got to find a way to get them dealt with and healed, and the need for health and mental health services. And one of the things that we're trying to do with the Children's Defense Fund this year is to pass a comprehensive children's health bill that would include mental health coverage for all of our children, regardless of the state of their documentation. But these problems will go on and grow unless they are dealt with and healed. So that in addition to immigration reform, we need to make sure that supportive services for families and mental health coverage and health coverage for families is available, because these things are not going to go away on their own. I just want to assure you that you are not alone. I mean, what you've heard here this morning is deeply moving. It is all of our responsibility and burden to deal with, and I thank you. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the great Protestant theologian who died opposing Hitler's Holocaust, said that the test of the morality of a society is how it treats its children. And I apologize and commit to work harder that America flunked its test so resoundingly in this, and so we'll work together to make sure that we do better.